One of my favorite historical figures of all time is Queen Elizabeth I of England. Let's start by watching a brief clip from the movie Elizabeth, made in 1998 starring Cate Blanchett. This will give you an idea of the character of Elizabeth and also some background from the film.
The Queen is dead! Long live the Queen!
There are moments of crisis.
You have inherited a most parlous and degenerate state. It's threatened from abroad by the ambitions of France and Spain and is weaker than I have ever known it.
When absolute power
A court to worship you, a country to obey you. I will mean nothing to you.
Oh, but you know you're everything to me.
is held by none
Until you marry and produce an heir, you will find no security.
and coveted by all.
How dare you come into my presence? Why do you follow me here?
It is my business to protect your majesty. Norfolk's power in court is growing. It is said that he and his foreign allies are raising an army that will outnumber your own.
I am my father's daughter. I am not afraid of anything.
Your Majesty would improve all these matters if you would agree to marry.
But marry who, Your Grace? For some say France and others Spain. So I'm not sure how best to please you unless I married one of each.
Elizabeth.
Queen Elizabeth I was born in 1533. She became Queen of England at the age of 25. Now, when she inherited the throne from her older sister Mary, the country was in a disastrous state. They were broke, the people were severely divided along the topic of religion. But she did manage to retain the throne for 45 years, which is one of the longest reigns of any monarch in the history of England. She was able to do this mainly because she was liked by her people so intensely, and also due to her keen military skills. From an early age, Elizabeth learned to control her emotions. She was known for taking her time when making important decisions, and she looked at situations objectively and rationally. Now, this varied a bit from her father, Henry VIII, who could be very impulsive and very irrational with his decision-making, and this often led to people being beheaded. As for any monarch, Elizabeth had to learn to recognize her emotional triggers and control her reactions, and she did this very well. She was known for generally maintaining a calm composure and for her firm yet sensible manner of speech. Elizabeth's greatest concern as queen was the welfare and happiness of her people. As I stated before, when she became queen, the country was in a ruinous state and severely divided. She saw the suffering of her people, and she knew what issues were important to them. She was able to see this by maintaining very close contact with governors of all the parishes throughout England and with her personal advisors. These relationships were key to her success as a ruler. One way she showed her compassion and concern for her people was by implementing what was called the Poor Relief Act. Now, this type of act was virtually unheard of at the time, and it required parishes to provide relief for the poor and set up workhouses. In fact, she was so popular among the people and so highly regarded that by the end of her reign she was virtually considered a saint. Elizabeth was able to unite her country and instill in her people a collective vision of England as a world superpower. Under her leadership, England grew economically and culturally. Things such as the Shakespearean theater flourished, and England expanded across the ocean into the New World, gaining new territory and wealth, eventually becoming the most powerful country in Europe. Elizabeth was also a master at foreign policy and used these skills to keep England out of war for many years. It was because of this growth and expansion that Elizabeth's reign is referred to as the Golden Age. And whether you liked her or not at the time, her unifying power was undeniable, and all of Europe looked to her as an example of fairness and decency.